Lasagna, delicious Italian comfort food, or the name of my future daughter. Could be both. But only one of these is legally edible. So today on Poor Choices, we'll learn how to make lasagna. Hearty meat sauce, ricotta cheese mixture, mozzarella, parmesan, it's all gonna come together great. And we're also gonna learn just how far I can push eating baby jokes on YouTube. Before we get started, let's do a little prep work. I'm going to rough chop up a whole yellow onion, peel 2 carrots and then give them a rough chop, and also chop up roughly 2 stalks of celery. No need to get into dice action here because we're actually going to let the food processor do the work for us. And the reason for that is lasagna tends to be a family meal, and a friend of mine asked how can she get her kids to eat more vegetables because they're picky and once they see them, they don't want to touch them. So this was my solution. Get all that into a food processor and pulse it till it breaks down finely. Or remember, you can just go ahead and dice these and leave it a bit more rustic, unless you're a picky adult eater. Then it's back to the food processor. Just make sure you stop every now and then and use something like a spatula to wipe down those side bits of our vegetables back into the middle. We're not looking for a paste, we just wanted to get finely minced. More prep work. I've got some mozzarella here, about a pound, that I popped into the freezer for about 15 minutes to firm up so I could grate it. You could also just dice this up. I just decided to make more work for myself because maybe you don't have a great knife. Maybe you don't even own a knife and all you can do is break shit with your bare hands or grate it. Shout out to everyone living off the grid. But either way, we want to break down this mozzarella. Then I took a block of Parmesan cheese and freshly grated about 4 ounces worth, mixed that in with the mozzarella, and then reserve about a cup's worth of this cheese mixture so we can use it as a topping later. To our remaining mozzarella and Parmesan mix, I'm adding in a tablespoon of Cattleman's Italiano seasoning, mainly because it already has salt in it. You can use regular Italian seasoning, but check and see if it has salt or not. Most likely it doesn't. And if it doesn't, then throw in maybe a teaspoon's worth of salt along with your tablespoon of Italian seasoning. Either way, we want to make sure there's salt here. I've also got 2 pounds of ricotta cheese that I'm adding in, and maybe like 3 tablespoons of olive oil, a couple of diced up basil leaves, do a little premix, and then we'll add in 2 whole eggs. Mix that all up and set aside. Now it's time for our meat sauce. I've got some cured pancetta here. Now let me say this, as I've said before in another video, I tried pancetta a lot of times as I was always told it's like Italian bacon, and it never tasted like that and I hated it. Then one day I realized it was because I was buying uncured pancetta and not cured pancetta. And if you think about it, when you buy bacon, you're always getting it cured. So once I started paying attention to the package and not being an idiot, I got the right kind and I fell in love with it. So make sure you are using cured pancetta. I'm putting a little olive oil in a Dutch oven over medium-high heat and then adding in this entire 2-ounce package. Cook it until it's crisping up and leaving behind all that good fat and flavor at the bottom of our Dutch oven. Remove the pancetta, leave behind that grease unless it's super excessive. We're then going to brown up 1 pound of hot Italian sausage, go mild if you're sensitive to heat, and also a pound of ground beef, and I believe this was 80-20. Now one thing I did here is I put it in and I did not touch it. I didn't break it up or anything because I wanted it to build a crust. So let it just chill for a bit. You can see the browning starting to creep up on the sides, and if you've been patient enough, you can flip and you'll get this type of look. From there, you can break it up and cook it through. Once browned up, I turn the heat down to medium, and now we can add in our onion, carrot, and celery from earlier that we put in the food processor. Stir that up, and then I also put in a giant palmful of the Cattleman's Italiano seasoning. Again, if you're using regular Italian seasoning that doesn't have salt, I'd go like 2 tablespoons of the Italian seasoning, and then like 2 teaspoons of the salt. Mix it up and let those vegetables cook out that moisture. It may take a little while since we're working at a medium heat here, but let it go for a few minutes, stir it up, see if it puddles up like this, wait a little bit longer, repeat. We just don't want to leave too much of the moisture those vegetables are going to release in there. I'm adding in pretty much a whole can of tomato paste. And my favorite ingredient, which I feel like sets this dish apart, Calabrian peppers. I got mine already chopped up, but if you can't find it already chopped, just get the whole ones and chop up about 2 of them. I wanted my lasagna spicy, so I put 2 big tablespoons of the peppers and its oils in my dish, but if you want to keep it on the mild side, just stick with 1. Also, if you're looking for them at the grocery store, they're usually in the aisle with the jarred peppers. Last, we'll add in about a tablespoon worth of minced garlic, give everything a mix, and let it cook for about 2 minutes or so. Now, I've got half a cup of white wine. Choose your favorite, of course, and make sure it's your favorite by drinking copious amounts of it. And scrape up that bottom, getting all that fond, aka our flavor, off the pot and into the dish. Then I've got a whole 28-ounce can of peeled San Marzano tomatoes. If you can find them already crushed, great, but if not, just do like me and crush them with your hand as you pour them into the pot. Then I added 2 cups of beef broth and half a cup of half and half. Mix it all up, then I pop my cooked pancetta back in, mix that up, then we'll reduce the heat to a simmer and let it reduce and thicken for about 20 minutes. Now we can get ready to build our lasagna. I've got an aluminum lasagna pan here. Oh my God, that was really hard to say. I said that like 8 times. I like these specifically because they're tall and can hold our layers. We're portioning out our meat sauce into 4 layers here, so scoop accordingly. Going down with the first layer and making sure it covers the bottom enough. Then I've got these oven ready lasagna noodles. Now listen, you can make your own lasagna noodles from scratch. You can also get the kind that you boil, but honestly, these are perfectly fine and take out a lot of the guesswork in making lasagna noodles. And y'all know me, I love making things from scratch, and you know I can be snobby about my ingredients, but this would be great. So we'll put down a layer of these, and you may have to break some in half pieces to fit, like you see me doing here. Then another layer of meat sauce, and our first layer of our ricotta cheese mix. We're only putting 2 layers of these down. I got an ice cream scoop here, but you can use a spoon. Just get down half the mix and spread it as evenly as you possibly can. Then another layer of our oven-ready noodles, more meat sauce, the other half of our ricotta mix, another layer of noodles, then all the remaining sauce. Lastly, we'll top it all with that reserve cup that we took out earlier, and that was just the mozzarella and the parmesan cheese. Cover it up with some foil that's been sprayed with cooking spray just so the cheese doesn't stick to it. And I'm gonna place it on top of a baking sheet because the pan just didn't feel sturdy anymore after I accidentally bumped it into the counter. So if you're not feeling confident, you can transport your whole creation to the oven, pop it onto a baking sheet for bottom support. Otherwise, into a 425-degree oven, it goes for 45 minutes, then remove the aluminum foil and let it go for another 45 minutes or until the top begins to brown and the sides are bubbling. And definitely let this cool down for like 15 to 20 minutes and then you can serve. Top with some more Parmesan cheese or basil. It's all up to you at this point. Wash it down with your favorite wine and enjoy the place on your couch that you'll be stuck at for the next 2 hours. This has been Poor Choices Kitchen. We have a Patreon linked in the description. $1 a month is all we ask to support the channel in these here inflated times. I'll see y'all very soon with some more dinners and holiday foods.